This video is for all you feminists who work in social media, especially the ones at YouTube. But first, I'd like to talk briefly, if I may, about censorship, because it's amazing to me how quickly YouTube went from broadcast yourself to stifle yourself or be terminated. It seems there's no longer any pretense that the tolerance and diversity crowd have any tolerance for diversity of opinion, and now they're openly censoring political views they disapprove of. It's happening so often and to so many people that the words YouTube and censorship now go together like Islamic and terrorism, or migrant and rape, or Marxist and dictatorship. They just seem to roll off the tongue together, arm in arm, best pals forever. What a great way to poison your own brand. They even censored a video by the Polish government on the migrant crisis until they were publicly embarrassed into reinstating it. Poland wants to put its own people first, not last, like every country in Western Europe, and somebody at YouTube didn't approve of that. Somebody at YouTube who has never done anything with their life except stare at a screen, tap a keyboard and masturbate, didn't approve of the Polish government's political position, so the video was censored. And that's how it works now. To be fair, they don't censor absolutely everything. Not yet, anyway. You can still see plenty of videos on wife beating in Islam if that's your thing. If you're a Muslim man and you want to know how to beat your wife in accordance with your religion of peace, you'll find detailed instructions on YouTube in videos that have been up for years and have been seen hundreds of thousands of times. Because the people who work at YouTube don't have any problem with violence against women as long as it's Islamic. It's the people drawing attention to it who are the problem. People like me, apparently. Although recently, when YouTube censored my video, A Word to the Criminal Migrant, they inadvertently drew attention to it and gave it more publicity than if they'd left it alone. And since then, it's been seen well over 100,000 times on other sites. So I suppose, in a way, I should thank whichever social justice bedwetter at YouTube decided to flip that particular switch. However, the video remains in restricted mode behind bars in YouTube jail, so to speak, where it's invisible on the site without a direct link and it can't be embedded or shared anywhere. It's no big deal to me personally. I don't care about YouTube. I don't make money from the videos and they are available elsewhere on the internet. But I am disappointed that they chose to censor a video that had been translated into 19 languages because clearly people thought there was something in it worth hearing. But unfortunately, it drew attention to the great taboo, the illegal third world invasion of Europe and the huge increase in rape and sexual assault, which is permanently poisoning the public space in Europe for women and girls. It also pointed the finger at the criminal scum responsible for it, the criminal rape culture they're bringing with them, and the criminal politicians who are letting them in. Many of them female politicians who know very well what the consequences will be for women, yet who have no intention of stopping this invasion. It's thanks to them that life for women in Sweden and Germany has already changed permanently for the worse. In what used to be two of the safest, most civilized countries in Europe, many women are now afraid to go out alone at night, and with good reason. While in the countries of Central Europe, who didn't open their borders to the fake refugees, it's a different story, and Poland has just been named the safest country in Europe for women, while we hear about a new violent sexual atrocity in Sweden or Germany almost every day. There have been so many gang rapes in Malmö, Sweden, that local people started patrolling the streets. But it'll do no good. There'll be another rape soon, maybe tomorrow or the next day, in Sweden or in Germany, of a woman or of a child, by third world men in Europe illegally who won't be properly punished and who can't be deported because, unlike their victims, they've got human rights. So I'm curious about how you women who work at YouTube feel about that, and about censoring information about it. Maybe you're fine with it. After all, it's not happening to you. Why should you care? And we shouldn't really expect you to, because we know that everyone at YouTube is a progressive feminist, not a real feminist, especially the men, if they know what's good for them. Isn't that right, boys? Don't forget those pussy hats to protect those pussy heads of yours. You see, YouTube is owned by Google, and we know from the details of the current discrimination lawsuit that internally Google is a toxic, ultra-progressive feminist bubble of hysterical bigotry and safe space paranoia where you have to check your moral compass at the door if you want to survive. So we shouldn't expect much from the people who work there. If they had anything about them, they wouldn't be allowed to work there. We know they're the kind of fragile buttercups who will instinctively turn on their own colleague like piranhas if he makes the mistake of offering a constructive opinion, crying and whining like little babies about not feeling safe and getting him fired. We know there are people in positions of authority who keep blacklists of colleagues whose views they disagree with and whose careers they want to sabotage. So we know how low the moral bar is at Google, and we know that we're dealing with emotional and intellectual cripples. And despite all the bullshit diversity rhetoric, most Google employees are men. Well, they're male anyway. About a third are female. And of course there's the usual fashionable sprinkling of indeterminate neurotics who think they want to be something they're not. But although you women are a minority at Google, we know that you've got all the leverage because we know that the men are all dickless wonders who are terrified of being fired for sexism and will do anything they're damn well told. So if any of you women ever do have a twinge of conscience that goes beyond a hashtag or a like, you could do something genuinely feminist for once in your life. You could take time out from persecuting co-workers to recognise this epidemic of rape that's poisoning the public space for women and make everyone at Google snap to attention, do the right thing for a change and let the truth be known. And that way you can help the situation instead of hindering it as you currently are. You women in social media have more power than most to help make women in Europe aware of the violent nightmare that's coming for them and especially for their daughters, instead of helping to keep them in ignorance until it's too late by censoring information about it from your privileged Silicon Valley safe space. But as I say, we don't expect much from you women because we know that you've had right and wrong educated out of you and that you now genuinely believe that the world revolves around your personal neuroses. But there may be one or two of you who haven't quite shaken off all sense of decency, and you can help us out with something specific. You see, German women have had enough of all the rape and the politicians' reluctance to address it, and they've started a protest movement called 120 decibel. That's the volume of a rape alarm, a standard carry in Germany today, and they posted a video about it on YouTube and about the grim gauntlet they have to run every day. Let me quote a few words. "The offenders are everywhere. While jogging in the park, when we return after work, while we're waiting for the bus, we are not secure," unquote. It is no longer safe for women in Germany, and soon it won't be safe for them anywhere in Europe. Women need to know that, and they need to know why. So I'll include a link for you Google feminists so that you can personally make sure that no scum-sucking social justice half-wit at YouTube tries to censor this video. And if you can find the courage, you might even want to post it on Facebook too. You know, instead of that picture of your dinner. Standing up for what's right isn't that hard, girls. It's just virgin territory for you. But everybody has to start somewhere, and who knows, maybe then we won't laugh out loud when you call yourself a feminist.